soul. Run lads, shoot lads, give us all a go. Run lads, shoot lads, you can do it, yes. Come on Newport County, oh, bang it in the net.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Taff's Word, and yes, it's been a little while since I last did one, but to be honest with you, it's the pre-season. Well, it is now pre-season, it was post-season, and not an awful lot to talk about up until, well, until you really feel like you can actually talk about something in a significant way. Now I feel like I can. So we're 6 new signings in, we're losing some players and getting rid of some players in as well. And we're 3 friendlies in, of which I've seen 2. So let's basically go through. I'm gonna think of a title for this one. It's gonna be something around, sort of pre-season update, something like that. But I'm just gonna run through who's gone, who's in, and what I think from the first few friendlies. What I think from what I've seen. And what I'm kind of expecting to see in the coming weeks. So, start with the 8 goings. So, the 3 main 8 goings were 3 players who we offered contracts to decided not to take us up on our offer. Nick Townsend, unfortunately, we lost him to Eastleigh. Personally thought he would have been looking upwards, not downwards. But if the money is downwards and not upwards, ooh, to say, it's a short career of football. But I think he was capable of playing at a better level. Surely there's got to be more money in League One than there is in the conference, especially at a club like Eastleigh, unless obviously with the lack of FFP, and they're able to just put money into their club and pay players more money. I don't know what's going on there, but a loss, obviously. But we'll come to how we've coped with that loss. Aaron Wildig, yeah, I mean, I've really felt like he could have stopped and done a job for us this season. I do think that there's still enough in him to give us another good season or 2. I would have been happy enough if he had a 2-year contract. But he's been given a business opportunity, of which he now has to play part-time football. So Gloucester, got a frigging fantastic player there. Yeah, that's you've hit the jackpot with that one. I think he's capable of League 2 with no shadow of a doubt, possibly even League 1 at his level. So yeah, to be going to it'll be National League North. Yeah, fantastic signing for them. Shane McLaughlin doesn't have a club as of yet, but hasn't taken us up on our offer, so he's bound to have something in the pipeline. Surely you don't turn a contract down if there's nothing else on the table. So Shane has moved on. A real shame. A real shame. Really like Shane McLaughlin. Really good player. 2 good years out of him. Yeah, definitely sorry to see the back of him. And then obviously we had the people who we released. Nathan Wood, never really cracked it at this level. Kiban Rai, I feel a bit bad for him. I feel like he had the potential, but maybe he was failed by previous management, or he wasn't dealt with in the right way. Yeah, I wish him all the best. He has gone to Aldershot. So Josh Martin went. Yeah, felt there could have been a player in him, but I'm not overly disappointed to see him go. Luke Jeffcott just never ever cut it here. Carl Jameson had some good games, but too many not so good games. Josh Sebury, I feel very sorry for. Under Graham Coughlin, he looked like he had a future. Obviously suffered that horrific injury. Never ever got back from it. Never ever given a chance. And jarred him, so yeah, so sorry to see him go, but it's football. Lewis Webb we never ever saw, can't really say much about him. Jeffrey Boney, never really saw him much, to be honest with you. Looked like he could have been okay if he was given more first team football maybe, but again, yeah. And Hamzad Kargbo, I'm not being funny, but what a fucking shame for him. Sorry for the F word. I think, sometimes my language can be a bit colourful, but I do really feel bad for Cargbo because he came on as a sub in that first game at Cheltenham and really turned the game in our favour a little, because it was 2-2 at that point, and I just felt like he was going to be capable of doing something. But he got his injury after he'd already made all our subs. put us down to 10 men. Clark goes up for a header, which he may have been in that position, and with his bigger, physique and his obviously taller frame, maybe he gets a cleaner header at it and scores, and we win the game, not lose. But that injury set him back so badly. I think we only ever really seen him once. He came on as a sub against Walsall, didn't make an impact, and yeah, we sent him out on loan. He scored one worldie, but we don't know what else he really did then. So feel really bad for him. But again, it's football. Got to move on. Got to move on. Which is what we're doing at the moment. Although it's a bit quiet on the old county front at the moment. We're not really seeing much coming in since, well, it was feeling like we were getting a signing a day for a while and be like, oh, yes, we could definitely get used to this. So the important bit of news was that James Clark has signed on, which is great. Because his experience at the back is going to be invaluable. His contribution last year was invaluable. James Clark, I mean, a lot of people attribute Nick Townsend as the reason why we probably stayed up. I would put that accolade more in the James Clark camp than the Nick Townsend camp. What do you think on that one? Oh, like I always ask for comments. I get a few. I don't get as many as I'd like. I'd certainly like to know what you think on that opinion of mine. Clarkey is more responsible for keeping us up than Nick Townsend was. Yeah. Okay, so incomings. So, first of all, we've got Nelson Sanker back from loan. So he goes into the squad and has figured in some of the friendlies already. And he looks bigger. He looks like he's really bulked up. He's done some upper body work. You can see that. He's got more of a frame about him. But before he was a bit like that, bit light. I'm not saying he weren't strong enough to cope with it, but he did look a bit lightweight. Now he looks pumped, So we could see him feature a little next season. So we had some scholars given their first professional contracts. So that was Morgan Evans, Sam Watkins, Corey Evans, Riley Lonergan, and the promising-looking Moses Alexander-Walker. Now, Alexander Walker does look pretty nifty with his feet. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's got, coming on. Have I left one out there? Yeah, is it Baba? I think he came on as a sub yesterday at Worcester. For some reason, he wasn't on the list that I got when I was looking for the list of players who we've signed, from our scholars. But, like I say, it's nice to see a mix of youth in with some of the first teamers, although we haven't seen many of the new players yet. And these new players are, now, marquee signing Matt Smith. Now, that is a marquee signing. I think the last time Newport County made what I would refer to as a marquee signing, like a proper marquee, like, I'm not going to keep repeating myself, but like a big signing. When we're looking at like names of players, you're probably thinking Frank Newbley, like marquee sort of, ooh, this has got some promise about it. Because Frank Newbley obviously played Premier League and sort of filtered down the leagues, but looking for, I suppose you could say Omar Bogle as well. You could look at in that kind of light. But Matt Smith, for me, is a Welsh international. 3 years ago, he was in the Welsh squad for the World Cup. I mean, yeah, okay, so it hasn't quite worked out for him up in Scottish football, but he's played at League One level and Championship level before as well. Really looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table, although I haven't seen him in any of our games so far, unless for some reason I've missed him. I don't think he was and he definitely wasn't there yesterday. Same can be said for Jed Garner. Haven't seen him at any of our games yet. Don't know if they're just carrying little niggles and they're not being risked or whatever. But I'm looking forward to see what he brings, because a lot of people are talking about his goal scoring record not being great. As we're picking up strikers who haven't got good goal scoring records. Well, I'm going to say Jamil Matt didn't have a great goal scoring record before he joined us, but playing in the right system and for the right team, he scored over 20 goals in that season. That season we should have got promoted when we lost to Tranmere in the playoff final. But, Jama, great signing as he turned out to be in the end. I can remember someone saying after we lost our first game of that season, 3-0 to Mansfield, oh, this is going to be a long, hard season, could be down the bottom end. And that Jamil Matt, you'd be lucky if he scores 5 goals for us this season. Well, there you go. So, Jed Garner, you don't know until you really, really, try him, Lee Jenkins, now I've seen him in both games, and he's a unit. He looks pretty composed in what he's doing. Looks like he's played, looks like he's capable of playing to a good level comfortably. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in a competitive match for us. Nick Sanev, a promising looking signing. He's obviously played at our level for Wimbledon, but he's also been in League One for Wimbledon and for Northampton. Northampton fans sing his praises. Wimbledon fans not as much, but the more recent team, Northampton, is the one that I'm going to take more than previous because people improve. And I'd like to think he has. Jordan Wright. Now, something tells me he's going to be Sanev as number 1, Wright as number 2. Although we got Jacob Carney, who played the whole match yesterday. So I'm a bit confused who will be number 1, 2 or 3. But my feeling is Sanev would be 1, Wright will be 2. And Carney may have been played yesterday. I said this to someone yesterday who was asking why is Carney playing when we've signed 2, goalkeepers who are going to be 1 and 2. Said, well, maybe playing him because there may be a club looking to take him on loan who may have somebody here watching him. So I was like, right, play Carney for the 90 minutes. We'll watch him. If we like what we see, we'll take him. And sending someone out on loan basically means they'll cover most of, if not all of, their wages. So if that turns out to be the case, then that frees up some wage budget for somebody else. And then the final signing that we've made so far, obviously Jordan Wright doesn't come highly recommended by Grimsby, although they seem to think, he's decent enough. Well, I think he played the majority of their league games last season, and they pushed close to a playoff place. So I'll take that as gospel from any kind of endorsement of Jordan Wright. So Michael Reindorf then is the final player. And I thought he looked pretty sharp. Though he did fall over a lot. He slipped. Now, slipping happens. It might just be that he needs better boots. He can sort that before the start of the season. That's not a concern of mine. Although, he did look quick with his feet. He did move around well. He got into the right positions a lot. He saw a lot of the ball. He dribbled well. Skinned a few players. But let's not forget, these players are 3 levels below us. So they're in the Southern Premier Central. So the same level as what Merthyr were at last year, as Merthyr was Southern Premier South, Worcester was Southern Premier Central. There's obviously a Southern Premier North as well. So that's pretty much where we are with the player situation. The 8s, then the ins. More ins to come. You heard someone say yesterday that apparently Hatswell told somebody that they reckon they're about 6 decent players away from the squad that they want. Yeah, and there's plenty of time for that. What are we on now? We're on, I think it's about the 15th, 16th of July, around about there-ish. Or is it? No. I forget, I got my watch here. 13th of July. Looks like I'm a couple of days ahead of everybody for some reason. Yeah. Sunday, 13th of July. So, plenty of time before the start of the season to pick up these players. There's still 4 loan spots to come. There was a trialist yesterday who a lot of people seem to think was Jack Fletcher, the son of Darren Fletcher, who would be a loan signing for Man United, 18 years of age. But there's also a Tyler Fletcher who plays for Manchester United, who's his twin brother. Obviously, because they're twins, he's also the son of Darren Fletcher. So both of them play for Man United, both of them are 18, and both of them are central midfielders. So it could have been either one or the other, but a lot of people say, no, it's Jack Fletcher. Or there has been talk of it being a boy from Swansea. Either way, he looks sharp, really quick. Apparently the Swansea boy would be a right winger, which would make a little bit of sense with some of the positions he was getting into, but he seemed to be more central midfield, so that would lean more towards one of the Fletcher brothers. Either way, yeah, I think he did himself justice yesterday and would have got himself the contract. So let's hope we get him signed up, or he could be the next signing, which we could see tomorrow. We'll see. So obviously I've mentioned about that I'm happy about the appointment. So the managerial appointment, like I said, it feels different to me from the similar appointments that we've made in the past. It feels very different. Feels like we're bringing in someone who's already picked up enough experience to sort of slot in and be like, right, yeah, you know, they know what they're doing. But having Hatswell back and having Kendall, yeah, I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. Pipey's still involved with it. Obviously, we've seen Pipey in and about, although Mark O'Brien isn't, which is a disappointment for me because I do like Mark O'Brien a lot. And I do feel like he's got something to offer. Like I said, like I've said before, between him and Pipey, we got people who know the fabric of this football club. But we do also have Wayne Hatswell as well. But the more people you can have there, you know, to make sure that the players are representing this football club in the way that they know they should be, you know, the more people who are passing that message on, the more validity it comes with. So, and I'd like to see Mark O'Brien involved, but if he's not, he's not. That's fine. But anyway, so my thoughts at the moment, from what I've seen in the two friendlies, although goals seem to be lacking, we created chances in both, especially at Dundee, but that's to be expected. Dundee, you know, they're relatively low down in the Welsh Football League pyramid, you know, so yeah. But to be honest with you, I feel like we played with the same kind of conviction and style and sharpness as what we did at Dundee at Worcester yesterday. I felt like, you know, we created some openings, but I think the players were told, give it a go, don't go too far. We don't want injuries at this point just because people see a win as a win. Friendly matches are friendly matches. As far as I'm concerned, you may as well call them a training match, a pre-season training match, because everybody is using it for that. Now, it comes in all different shapes and sizes. You know, it's a test to put a style of play to the test against a team that you think could offer a good resistance to that playing style. So it creates that bit more of a challenge for the players to play through. So yeah, your testing games, you've got your confidence games where you're playing someone who's pretty low down. You go out to absolutely destroy them. And from that then, it breeds a bit of confidence. So you steamroll someone, you come into the next game with a winning mentality. So I get that, but you tend to find that they're more towards the end. But depends how you plan your pre-season really. But the other thing then is your scalp. Now, it's a no-lose situation with a scalp game. So I call a scalp game is when you're playing against somebody much higher than you. Well, not so much higher, but higher up in the pyramid than you. You know, a big test. You know, someone you expected to lose comfortably against. So I call that a scalp game because if you beat them and you pick up the scalp, that breeds a lot of confidence. A lot. And it gives the fans something to shout about. So the fans are confident. It gives the fans a bit of confidence. So they're on a real hype going into it. But yeah, that is what it is. And the other side of it then, obviously, is a bit of a money spinner. But if you lose that, if you lose the game, oh well, they were a bigger club. We did ourselves justice, didn't we? Yeah. So you may as well come out of it with a little bit of confidence. We don't seem to pick those games up at the moment. And it just sort of depends what you want from your pre-season. Do you want... For me, you're looking at fitness. You're looking at minutes in the legs, minutes of playing in a game situation. You want those minutes in the legs of these players. But the thing is, you can play training games anyway, but a somewhat competitive test is what you want, and that's why you have friendlies in the first place, and it's match fitness. For me, well, I suppose I haven't really mentioned. So yeah, so I've said a test. There's another type, and it's just a training game, and you literally play against a team who you basically, it doesn't matter who they are, you're going to try the things you're learning in training, and the scoreline matters nothing. That's the thing. So there's the four types. For me, there's those four types of friendly matches. So I think a lot of our games last season were the training types. I think this season, I think they're more of a testing type. testing what Dave Hughes and Hatswell and Kendall, trying to get the players to play as. But the thing for me, it looks a little bit more direct. It looks a little bit more League Two, more conventional League Two. Obviously, we look like we're going to be a hard team to break down because Undy created absolutely nothing against us. Worcester had very, very few chances. I think they missed a header from a few yards out. And I think the best chance they had really was the one guy who hit it from about 25 yards and hit it just over. So they couldn't break us down at all. Not that you'd expect them to, but if we were a scalp game for them, so they would have gone all out to try and put on a bit of a show for their fans, especially after beating Cheltenham 2-0. So the fact is, right, they beat Cheltenham 2-0. They couldn't create an opening against us. So for me, that bodes well when you weigh up the two. But it depends then, what kind of game did Cheltenham play? Was it a training game for them where the scoreline didn't matter? But if I remember rightly, under Flynn, we typically play to win friendly matches. I don't think we lost many friendly matches. I think under Flynn, especially during the COVID season, obviously before the COVID season, I can remember us absolutely battering Hereford in a friendly match, which was our last friendly match of the pre-season. Flynn wanted the players to express themselves with what they've learned in training. So I suppose you could call it a bit of a mixture of the test and the training game. But I think Flynn wanted to win. Could have been a bit of a confidence builder as well at the same time. So yeah, so I think Flynn has that combination of those three, because I don't think under Flynn we had any scalp games. But we are a scalp game for everybody else, so we will be a scalp game again for Barry, who beat us last year. If Barry beat us again this year, then maybe it is a show that we're not on the same level, but it depends how we approach that game. So yeah, it's a bit of a deep dive into how friendlies and a pre-season programme works. But the thing is, a lot of it, the 90% of our pre-season is what goes on in training that we're not seeing. And if people think, oh, we only scored one goal against Worcester and we only scored one goal against Dundee, can we score more than one goal? Me personally, I couldn't give a shit how many goals we score in these friendly matches. If we're making the right openings, if we're playing the ball around in the right way, if we look like we're going to be hard to break down, that's enough for me. Because when you really turn the heat on the competition, you are going to get, that extra, level. When you raise the bar and raise the competition, you're going to get that extra level. At the moment, they're playing that in friendly matches against lower league clubs. That is what to expect when we come to play Notts County. So there we go. Anyway, I've rambled on for fucking ages now, haven't I? But I hope that sums our pre-season up for how it's been so far. So the rest of it now, we've got Western and Torquay coming up. We've got Barry and who's the other one? I'm sure there's another one. I might be forgetting. There's the Bristol City game behind closed doors. We're playing Bristol City again behind closed doors. And the thing for me is that we got battered 2 years ago. We didn't get battered last year. This year, going to be really keen to see how that one goes. But anyway, that's that for now. Thanks for watching. And as always, up the County. Cheerio for now.